Go ahead and start. Hi, welcome to the May 2025 edition of the Eastern Job User Group. My name is Jim Bethancourt. I'll be speaking tonight, and thank you to Scott Wierschem for putting this meeting together. And thank you to our sponsors in improving being the biggest. And I'd like to share a few words with you about improving. Since I'm also the meeting host tonight. User group space is available. So if you have an idea for a user group, improving wants to support you. So we're more than happy to have you host a user group. If you have an idea for one, let me know and I can help you. I can help put you right in touch with the right folks. We're currently hosting free code camp. .NET user group, Live Project Society. So if you have an idea for something that you'd like to make, it's a group of folks who can help encourage each other, provide constructive feedback. Also have some product community. So if you are a product owner of any kind, it doesn't have to be in software. Come to those meetings, and you can hear from other product owners and learn how to be a better product owner yourself. Then using Linux, you actually don't host this one anymore. I think they moved to the Ion if you're interested in that one. And then use some job user group, of course, this one. If you would like to join improving, we're always looking for senior business development managers, account executives, senior .NET developers, senior Java developers, senior DevOps engineers, object coaches, and also if you have experience creating artificial intelligence-based applications, we'd be happy to talk to you as well. Houston is the one of the epicenters for improving for developing AI-based applications. A lot of folks talk about it. We're doing it. So it's really neat. If you look to jumpstart your Agile journey, Improving is the largest training provider of Scrum.org training here in North America. We have 5-6 different trainers and you have classes on Professional Scrum Master, Professional Scrum Product Owner, all the way from level 1 to level 3. And then also backlog management, Agile developer, how to be a developer in an Agile project, and also Pro Kanban. So if you're interested in Kanban, we offer classes about Kanban as well. And if you could please take a moment to sign in, I would really appreciate it. This helps to keep the allow using WG to continue to be hosted here at the improving office. I would really appreciate it. So let me know when you got that, and I will be happy to move on to the door price stuff. All right, so big thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Improving for hosting the meeting space and providing the pizza. Thank you to Webicator for training voucher, providing training voucher. Thank you to Sonograph for providing a 1-year license to Sonograph. Was it Sonograph? SonarCube, Sonograph. And thank you to JetBrains for a license to IntelliJ Ultimate as well. So definitely make sure that you register for winning those prizes. So without further ado, I will go ahead and switch out presentations and tell you all about how to create a fun open source project. So, all right. There you go. That is RefactorFirst URL. I would absolutely love it if you would if you take a snap of that and go to GitHub and give RefactorFirst a star if you can. I would really appreciate it. That's the first rule of creating a fun open source project, is to always be promoted. It's to always promote it, basically. Tell everybody you know about it. This is an open source creator. There's nothing that makes you happier than seeing that star count go up. Well, not nothing, but it's very satisfying, very gratifying, because you know that people are looking at it and checking it out. They are they're using it, or at least they're interested in it. And so, I done it. Okay, there we go. Whew. All right. So, okay. So about a little bit about me. Yeah. Can you share your screen? Oh yeah, sure. Yes, absolutely. Yes, you should have, but that's okay. All right. How do I share screen here? There we go. Okay. All right, and share. So, alrighty. So for all of you online, who are watching this from a recording, thank you for joining. And this is the QR code for refactor, the project that I created. So again, if you want to take a snap of that and then get refactor a star, I would really appreciate it. So a little bit about me. I'm a devoted husband, loving father of 5 children. As folks say, how do you do it with 5 and do all this other stuff? It's like, well, one day at a time, my friends, one day at a time. I'm a humble follower of Christ. I love to bring the love of Jesus to everyone I encounter. And I joined Improving in July 2020, and I've been a Java developer for a long time, but I absolutely love it. And I really want to help the lives of others to be fulfilling and to make work worth doing, basically. To where you can really enjoy. That's one of the big motivations behind why I created refactor was because I saw there was a problem, and I'll get into that. So what is open source software? Open source software basically is computer software. It's computer code that's released under license and software with released under license where the copyright holder grants the users the rights to use, to study, to change, and to distribute the software and its source code to anyone for any purpose. There are different kinds of open source licenses. You might have heard of weak copyleft, copyleft and permissive are the 2 broad categories of licenses. Like you have permissive ones are such as MIT and Apache, and you have strong copyleft, which are the GNU family of licenses, which basically say, hey, you can study this, you can look at it, you can make changes to it, but any changes you make, you have to contribute back to the people who created it and or release it under the GNU license yourself, basically. So my first exposure to open source software ideas was in the book The Cathedral and the Bazaar by a guy named Eric S. Raymond. You can find basically a free copy of this online in Eric's wiki pages. It's a pretty fun, pretty neat book, and it covers a few major ideas. One being that the cathedral is that only a select few can work on the code base. This is the approach that GNU and closed licenses typically take. And we have the bazaar idea, where code is developed in view of the public, i.e. the internet, such as on GitHub, for example, nowadays, where a lot of it's done. GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, yeah, that's the other big one. Yeah, thank you. So the best lessons, though, were that the best software grows from genuine personal interest. Genuine personal interest. And then also, customers are your most valuable resource. That's why I say, hey, start it and get back to me, raise issues. If you want to make it better, let me know, or even better, contribute yourself. So that way the feature is exactly what you want. If I like it, hey, I'll let you. I'll merge your pull request. And also, last but not least, release early and release often. So that way you can get rapid feedback and you can adjust incrementally instead of making a big release and then saying, hey, everybody, what you like, what you don't like. And then you get a bunch of different opinions all at once for about a bunch of different things. It's really hard to keep track of that way. And of course, this is also a really good idea in our professional lives too as software developers. So another great book that I learned quite a bit from was a book called Just for Fun by none other than Linus Torvalds himself and his co-author David Diamond. So make sure that make something that you want to use yourself. So it should be something that's personal to you, that's of personal interest, and make it fun. Make it something that you would want to use yourself. And make it for fun. Just try it, do a little bit of time, and have fun with it. If it's not something that you enjoy doing, take a break for a little while, and maybe the idea will come back to you. Maybe the desirable kernel will come back to you. And don't worry about a name or other users at this point, right? As you're getting started, just do it for you, do it for fun, and then start to publish it. But still, always keep in mind that you should want to use it and do it for you. Always be your first customer, basically. And so start small. I participated in an innovation competition when I created the first version of refactor the prototype was written in 2 days, and I combined the processing of Git history and the PMD God class measure. It was based on a research paper that I came across, and I tied for last. So, but I got a lot of positive feedback, and that feedback and my own curiosity helped me keep this idea alive to build out refactor one day. So I actually had the idea for a while to try and commercialize it instead of open sourcing it. So I actually wrote a lot of that myself before I published it as open source. But then I decided, well, it'd be way too much work to do that myself. So I'll just go ahead and publish it as open source. And I went ahead and did that. And also one other huge tip to start small is to write as little code yourself as possible. Lean on other libraries as much as you can. If there's something out there that already does part of what you're trying to do, leverage that. Because what you want to do is you want to try to focus on differentiated value of your project, of your product, and how to take and build something more amazing than what somebody else, more amazing than somebody else is doing, but build something amazing that you can be proud of yourself. I mean, sure, there's plenty of times where people, they might have a different idea of how to approach JavaScript rendering, and they want to implement that. Hey, that's great. But for me, I want to focus on where I can differentiate value and provide unique value. Granted, that's me, but you're certainly welcome to go and rewrite whatever it is that you want in your own vision. But that's my approach. That's my take. So one big thing that you need to do whenever you write an open source project is you need to think like an entrepreneur. Because ultimately, you won't be in the room whenever users are deciding to use your software. Your users will they'll be at their computer, at their desk, in a room showing it off, but you won't be there. And so your creation really needs to sell itself. And so you need to provide a clear value proposition. You need to explain it well. It really helps if you have screenshots, just like I showed you on my GitHub repository earlier before we started recording. And if you are on the internet, if you're watching this recording, I provided an example to provide a URL to my project, RefactorFirst. And so that way you can see on there that I provide screenshots, I provide examples of how to use it, I provide examples of how to interact with it as well. So this really helps as much explanation as you can give. Don't give them just this massive wall of text, but break it up, make it easy to read, easy to digest, anticipate their questions, and make it easier for somebody to adopt, because really they're only going to spend a few minutes. So this also, if you can, not necessary, but a wow factor helps. If you can provide a clear value differentiator, it really helps. Y'all have any questions? See, maybe you might have some questions. No? Okay.
A number of projects where people would just say, I can do that better, and they go and rewrite something that already exists.
Yeah.
They want to do it clearly.
Right. Yeah. You got Angular. You had jQuery. Then you had and you had Angular, and then you had React, and you have Jest, and you have all those different JavaScript frameworks that I haven't learned one bit of yet, and I've been in this industry for over well, a really long time. So, and yeah, so I'll need to learn one at some point, but, that's, but yeah, so again, to users only take a few minutes to try and get it working. Probably about all they're going to spit, unless somebody came and said, you really, really need to get this working. If it solves a problem that is otherwise really expensive to solve, they're not going to spend very long. They're just going to move on. Yes.
It's actually, so, I know you said the product is a group, but there's a what, in the analytics. So when they firstly, announced what they did is they basically post a video, minutes using the analytics.
Yep.
And you can get a blog online. So
Yeah.
I found that's what we tried to.
Yeah, if you can have a video, absolutely. That's even better. Thank you for it's a brilliant point. So have a video showing users how to use it, and then show the results, show how, and then walk through that and explain how it can make their lives better, basically. Absolutely. Yeah.
There's the approval test tool.
Mhm.
Such a huge fan of.
Yeah.
I tried to get that working. That was unusual. I saw the potential of it, and I banged on it for weeks.
Oh,
trying to
wow.
get it to work, and I couldn't get it to work. And I finally ran into the author of it online, and I asked him for some help, and he helped me through it. He said, I could use your ignorance in helping me to document it. So he and I started meeting on a regular basis, and now I'm a contributor on the tool.
That's great. That's phenomenal. But yes, you're one of a kind, Scott.
I am, yeah, I'm unique. Really. Nothing wrong with you.
So also again, try to provide examples. Again, provide examples of how to use it. I have examples of how to specify it in your Maven project. How right, it doesn't natively support Gradle, but instead create a pom.xml and drop it in your Gradle project. Heaven forbid you have a pom.xml in your Gradle project, and then run this Maven command. So then it'll process all your classes for you. So make it easy. It's just almost you have to give it away, really. Make it to where they just have to copy paste and then they're off to the races, and then they can look like a hero. So I mean, make that's a great way to explain it. Make the user a hero. Yeah. So yeah, make the user a hero. I'll need to specify that as well here. So understand your market. So you're gonna have competitors, more than likely. RefactorFirst is a competitor to commercial products. So understand your competitors. Look for ways to differentiate your offering. But also understand your users, what their needs are. You're typically going to be your first user. But also identify gaps between your competitors' offerings and your offering, and leverage that ability to communicate with and work with your users in an open format. And also identify gaps between your competitors and what you're offering. The ones that you provide that they don't, and the ones that they provide that you don't. I mean, like RefactorFirst, you can tell me it has a horrible user interface. I'm like, yes, it has a horrible user interface, but it provides the information that folks need, and it comes at a great price. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Know what your unique selling points are, and also understand product market fit as well. Because so the product that you're selling, that you're quote unquote selling to one user is different from the needs of a different user. So what I've done with RefactorFirst is I recognize the different thresholds. So if there are 700 or more elements, then the graph viz dot language renderer falls over, just stops working. So, but I knew that there are going to be folks with more than that many, relationships and classes and their projects. So I need to provide something above and beyond that. And then also I realized, hey, it would be really cool to render that in 3D and kind of have all those fun little zoomable, the orbs that are floating in the various directions. But I also realized, well, you know what? I could have somebody who's scanning Jenkins or something even bigger than that. So whenever that renders, I have to strip down the features of that 3D graph, force graph library, to make it easy to use and to run. Otherwise, it would be tremendously slow. Because once you hit about 4,000 elements on that, things sort of fall over basically. So you need to make it as lightweight as possible. At least on this PC right here that I'm presenting from, because this one's probably about 6 years old, but hey, it still works. It does what I need. So, and it's not a bad thing either, because it provides a great low bar for me to test against. So, again, understanding your consumers, your users, and how you can address their needs. And again, also look for opportunities to pivot and to evolve. Identify new needs. Whenever I started out, I just started out with having refactor as a God class mechanism, a God class identification tool. And but I knew that developers would have issues with other anti-patterns as well, other code smells, such as classes that were highly cohesive. And so I was able to take and use PMD's highly coupled classes detector to identify what classes were highly coupled. And then also, so both of those are mentioned in the research paper that I mentioned earlier. And then also, but the one thing that kept bothering me was the fact that they said that the classes that were the most change prone and the most bug prone were classes that were involved in class cycles, which is what I was showing you at the very beginning before we started recording, which is where you had the graph viz, where it was showing the red arrows that are the backward dependencies basically. So that's why I want, and then I wanted to be able to rank those as well, so that way folks would have an idea of where to start. Again, because just saying congratulations, here's a mess, good luck, is not enough, basically. So identify your need, look for opportunities to pivot and to evolve. Some of the most impressive products out there that we know started out as one thing and then pivoted to another. And you got Blogger started out as a way for somebody to take and kind of capture and share what they were doing and what they're up to, and then Flickr, I think, was another, and for pictures. Yeah, I forget what it started out as, but there are a lot of things in software that are they were big pivots that we all ended up knowing and loving. I wish I could remember a few of them more off the top of my head, but
Twitter was a completely different.
Yeah, okay, interesting. And now it's completely different for other reasons.
Yeah.
So yes. So provide instructions on how to contribute to your project. So develop a backlog. So if you can, at least create a list of issues that you want to solve at some point, and you may have somebody else jump in and want to contribute. I've had that happen on several different occasions. There's a mostly complete feature for a command line interface right now, so way folks can take and run refactor from the command line. I still need to do a tiny bit of cleanup on that, but for the most part, it's there. And also provide contribution instructions. This is something I personally need to do a little bit better job at, but provide contribution instructions so that way folks know how to build your project whenever you want to, whenever they want to contribute. So is it what version of Java or JavaScript or React or Angular or whatever libraries that whatever your runtime is, they'll need to switch to that in order to run your application properly. Like for me, I'm targeting Java 11 because there's still a lot of code that's written using Java 11, and they're probably really big code bases. And those are the kind of code bases that probably need help, basically. It'd be great if they could, use say Open Rewrite to migrate to Java 17 or 21, but I'm not going to count on it. So I want to help them and meet them where they are. And that's my prerogative. But that's also until the Java surveys show otherwise, I'm going to continue to focus on Java 11. I would focus on Java 8 as well, but the JGit version that supports Java 8 is has problems. It has a security vulnerability, and if I were to continue to use that, then more than likely large corporations wouldn't be able to use it. And this is probably honestly where it would have the most use, is in larger corporations. So and also be specific about help needed as well. So if you have like a good first issue item for example, or if you want to start creating tags about 1.0 or 2.0 or things along those lines, again, that would help users understand your backlog and what you want to work on next. So yeah, again, be specific about help needed, either if folks want to contribute or if they want to at least contribute ideas or specific pieces or additional features about what a feature should look like. So, and also get the word out. This is probably one of the more difficult things to do, but if you don't tell people, they're never going to know. So you can post about it. Post on social media. Use pictures of your product. Like I took and got pictures of the spring product, the spring pet clinic analyzed, and showed a 3D picture of it, of that analysis, and people loved it. It was great. It was really cool. And also tag your friends, tag your coworkers, and also especially thank your contributors. And show huge gratitude towards them, and they'll really appreciate it. And there's nothing more that you can do than really to thank your users and thank your contributors and those who provided input and feedback. Also, tag your champions. I'm very fortunate that there have been a few folks who tried refactor-first and they love it. And there's one who's actually, he's included multiple times in presentations that he's given at other conferences. So it's like it's free advertising for me. So thank them and mention them in the posts whenever you cut releases, and also tag influencers. Most of them are happy that you tag them because it gets them attention and it gets you attention too. And what happens is that their followers will see what you've created and that you've tagged that influencer or that champion, and they'll try out what you've written, what you've created, and engage people when they comment as well. This will keep the conversation going. It'll keep it going to the top of the feed, basically. And so engage. That's huge. I think when I joined Improving, I made an announcement. I kept engaging. I think it got over 20,000 views. So and way before I created refactor-first, but again, just constantly engage. That's a huge secret, really, almost whenever you create a post, is engage, and show people, mention to them how you can do it, what new problems it solves that haven't been solved before. Like what I'm working on right now is scaling. So and how to create how to run the analysis even faster, basically, than it would be before, because people don't like to wait. I know that. I don't like to wait. So whenever I run it against Jenkins, it'll take 10, 12 minutes. Like, okay, this could be faster if I want to just run on my desktop. So I'm applying as many tricks as I know as far as multi-threading and sparse matrix analysis as possible to try and get it to go as fast as I can, using the Java util, the Java executor framework, basically. Make video. Write blog posts, of course, if you have a blog. If not, I can't say I do. I just have various social media accounts. But if you have a blog, even better. You can go into depth about it. Or if you have YouTube, you can make videos about it. If you have a YouTube channel. And then also make the videos about it, and then share a link to them, or even embed the video and say your GitHub page. If you want to, if you have the gumption to, make a GitHub page about it as well, and make it look nice, make it look pretty, make it a little bit easier to look at than your GitHub repository. What else? So talk about it. So message people you know. There's almost nothing more effective than a personal outreach. Say, hey, I made this new thing. I think you should really, I really think you might be interested in it. It's a lot of work, a whole lot of work, but it can be very effective. And a lot of times they'll say, hey, thanks, I'll have to try it out. And then you can also take and speak at user group, just like I am right now. They can be in person, they can be virtual, but speak, get the word out about it. Speak at conferences as well. These are usually very well attended, and you can meet a lot of other people as well besides just presenting on it. You can tell people about it on what they call the hallway track, basically. Say, hey, yeah, I've created this thing. You should try it out. Or if you can, bum a booth from the vendor, or from the conference vendor, and say, hey, I got this thing. You should check it out. It's really great. And see if the worst I can say is no. Give lunch and learn talks. And your company where you work even. Or if you're up for it, go to a friend's company and talk. And then volunteer to speak for Improving talks. Here at Improving, we have various internal talks. So if you want to join Improving, you know that now that we have like what's called Tech Friday talks. I'll be giving a talk on Friday as well myself for another internal talk initiative, and collaborate with others who give talks about it as well. Again, I've got I've got folks who I'm just blown away that folks want to talk about it, but keep them updated, keep them posted about what you're working on, or when a new version comes out. And also, even if they don't give talks about it, there's a guy who I know who works at Microsoft. He's thrown it into various projects. I was like, what? He did that? No way! That's so cool. So he has it run on one of the projects that he's created at Microsoft, and he tossed it on the Spring Pet Clinic. So that's why I included the Spring Pet Clinic, because a lot of folks have heard the Spring Pet Clinic before, and they say, oh yeah, that thing. So something really important to be aware of and to keep track of. A good friend of mine, Bruno Souza, created what he calls the reputation formula. This is for career reputation, but it also applies to open source as you build your open source tool. So you have all the things on the numerator are things that help improve your career, to improve your reputation, to improve your product. Our focus, visibility, action, skill, or experience. And also, if you're a giver, if you freely give of your knowledge, if you freely give of your talent, then that'll really be appreciated. If you take responsibility for the problems of others, like what I've done with RefactorFirst. I'm helping to take responsibility to provide guidance on what needs to be done next in your project. I've helped you. In a way, almost kind of helped take ownership of your problem for you. So that way you don't have to think about it quite so much, quite so hard, quite so long. And also, last but not least in the numerator is consistency. This is something I personally get a little bit better at, but if you can have, say, a release cadence, it helps. It's not critical, but it certainly helps. So maybe don't press yourself too hard, but maybe if you want to go for every half year, once every quarter, or something like that. I've got some folks that I know, Andres Amarai, he tries to release every other month for his JReleaser project, and he tries to be consistent about his releases. And the things that can really hurt your reputation are me, hey, look at me, I'm the best, I'm awesome, I'm so awesome. Instead it should be more of a desire to help other people. And also lies. Lies are really, really bad. So if you say, yeah, I'll do that, and then you never get around to it, it can be really rough. Like folks are like, hey, when's Gradle? It's like, well, when's Gradle support going to be here? Well, not yet. So just be honest with them. And also, if you're a difficult person to work with, then it won't help you either. instead it's good to be diplomatic instead. So again, if you want to check out Bruno Souza, he's great. You can look him up. Code4.life is his website. It's code4.life, code the number 4.life. If you're interested, if you're curious about that. And then some resources. So Improving has several courses that can help you. If you are an improver, you can take these for free as well. So the professional Scrum product owner helps you to understand the product owner's role. And when you are an open source developer and you create your product, you're selling it, and you're quote unquote selling it as you're developing it. And when you're developing it, you need to think like a product owner. What is going to be the next most impactful thing that you can do with your time, your limited time, and your limited energy, your limited resources? Because that's the one thing that you as an open source developer who is developing what's effectively a passion project, more than likely, unless it takes off like hotcakes and you get paid enough by your sponsors to leave your day job, that is your job. That's your job, is to be a product owner as well as a developer. So because you have to figure out what you want to work on next. You have to have a vision that's going to guide you to what you want to work on, what's going to be most impactful for you and for your users. And you also have to know how to measure value. You have to almost experiment, and so you need to learn how to validate ideas as you work on them. Like what I was showing you at the beginning, where like, oh yeah, this is an experiment. What I was showing you. You have to know that yes, it's okay to throw things away and to have the courage sometimes to throw things away, even if it took you a while to work on them. It's like, well, yeah, no, that didn't really work out. So, oh well, sometimes it's time lost, but you learn something valuable in the process. So, also, oops, wrong one, sorry. So you have Professional Scrum Product Backlog Management. So this one will help you understand backlog management and also how to communicate with your stakeholders. So your stakeholders in an open source project are your users, folks who are directly interacting with it. So it's important also with both the product owner and the product backlog manager to understand your users. So you're going to have different kinds of users. You're going to have folks like for me, for RefactorFirst, I know I'm going to have folks who are developers who might have just started fresh out of college. You're going to have experienced developers. I'm going to have architects. But I also realize that ideally I'm going to have managers who look at this. And I'm going to have product owners who look at this, who don't know anything about software development, but they say, hey, you know what? I see and Scrum Masters too, because Scrum will say, hey, look, I see, over the past course of the year, we've slowly been delivering fewer and fewer story points. Let's see if we can do something about this. And that's why one of the big reasons why I created RefactorFirst, because I know that structural technical debt, this invisible negative hidden value, is slowly eating away at the productivity of software developers. But they don't know how to make it visible. So my goal is to make it visible to the product owners and the Scrum Masters of the world and the managers of the world, so they can see, hey, you know what? We do have a problem. But also for the developers to look at it and say, okay, well, here's where I need to focus on. So that way we can communicate the value, or the quote unquote negative value of the messages that they made quickly and easily, while also providing meaningful guidance. So so if you're a Coursera subscriber, you can look at this one. This is the class is literally called Open Source Software Development Methods, and it covers what open source software is, and also help you get a better idea of and help you to understand open source licenses and how to work in open source projects as well as a contributor, and also what the almost social aspects are of open source projects as well. There are various open source projects, like how to communicate, how to be polite. I mean, I guess not everyone knows how to be polite, but I clearly they find it worthwhile including in there. So what's that?
Oh yeah, software developers can be tricky.
which is unfortunate. But yes, no, I mean, granted, I say that, but I've had folks like, hey, I've got this thing that my project is structured this way. Can you do that? Well, sorry, no, that's not my priority right now. So how to communicate with grace. And also, this one is completely free. It's from the Linux Foundation. If you wanna check this one out, it covers both the technical and social aspects of creating an open source software project. It also covers OSS licensing, and you can also get a digital badge upon completion. And you have something like 12 months to complete the course, so plenty of time. And then Producing Open Source Software is a great book. The first edition came out in 2002, 2005, something like that. And the second edition was crowdfunded and produced a few years ago. It is completely free, and it covers all sorts of great tips on getting your open source project up and running and maintaining it. It's something that I personally need to read. I would be well served to read it, but definitely something very, very valuable to read through. So some parting wisdom, schedule time to work on your project. Set aside, if you can, a dedicated time every day to do it. I have time in the evenings typically that I take to either work on it, to work on RefactorFirst, or to pursue continuing education so I can improve my skills. That's typically while I also work out on my elliptical. So sometimes you have to get creative because, again, got 5 kids and help get them ready for bed. So my time is very precious. It's probably the most valuable thing I have right now. So the more I can double up, the better. And then also treat it as a hobby. But also, again, treat it as a kind of a serious hobby if you can. Take it seriously because it's a passion project, but do give yourself a break every now and again and realize that, yes, you are gonna have new interests that come along, and feel free to pursue them. But if you don't want to do your project anymore, do find a way to hand it off gracefully to somebody else who does want to continue to work on it. I would certainly encourage you to fall in love with the problem that you're pursuing. Don't fall in love with the solution instead, because solutions tend to come to an end. Basically, is the best way to describe it. And so fall in love with the problem itself. Like for me, helping other developers to identify where they can improve where they can spend more time with loved ones, with family members, with friends. That's never going to stop. That's my goal, to help other developers and myself to figure out the low-hanging fruit, and so they can focus on delivering value, a differentiated value to their customers, and to spend more time with loved ones, that which is what we're really about. And then also, last but not least, be kind to yourself, because this can be really, really hard developing an open source project, because you'll have folks who say, yeah, can you make it do that? Can you make it do this? Can you gimme? So it's there. So yeah. So it's hard to be diplomatic with those folks, but do your best. And be kind to yourself, because for me, I'm probably my hardest critic. But be kind to yourself. Don't push yourself too hard. And again, spend time with family, with friends, with folks you love, doing what you love. And don't lose sight of why you have created this. And pace yourself, and be kind to yourself. And last but not least, so how's all this fun, right? So making a difference. There's a great book that I read in my 20s by a nun named Carol Jakowski called 10 Fun Things to Do Before You Die. And the thing that really stuck out to me was a quote that she had: doing what you love and knowing you're making a difference. What could be more fun than that? So that's it, folks. Thank you so much. Do y'all have any questions? So, you tell me what I thought. Yeah. So, classes, something like that. Yeah, uh-huh. Yep, yep. I was comparing it to like files, and now you have a wide classes. Basically, and everything, and the points, and this, that, point, and something like that. Yeah. Hold on. Let me reshare real quick here. I can show you this, kind of walk you through. Done. So I've got there. So I've got RefactorFirst here. So I've got the repository, and then I've got I kind of explained at the very beginning, at the very top. This is what it does, right here, and this is how it does it. And then again, what it's powered by, in case you're curious. And then if you're using 4,000 classes in relationship, you have more than 4,000 class relationships, it'll have a simplified view. And then I provided a link to an example right here as well, so that folks can check it out. And this is the Spring Pet Clinic. And so this is again the dot graph. You can kind of zoom in and zoom out and see what's going on here. And then also the 2D graph, and it's pretty simple. And then also a 3D graph you can click in and zoom in and out of. And you can hover on stuff and see kind of what things look like. Anyway, what's that? Yeah, the red arrows. Yeah, so the red right here is the backward dependency. Yeah, yeah. So right here, I say red lines represent back edges to remove. And you can zoom in out with your mouse wheel and exclude no classes that have incoming or outgoing edges. So then, so here I show the impact. So the edge weight, and then the number, and then how many cycles it's in, and then the new cycle, the new number of cycles. Because right now there's 3 cycles, and then if you were say remove one of these 2 right here, you'd only have 2 cycles, for example. And then I'm experimenting with this right here, but kind of how to show meaningful statistics. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. So this is relationships between classes, and so typically you want to have you want to avoid cycles. Is the problem. So you don't want to have A talk to B, B talk to C, C talk back to A. That's because typically when you make a change in A, you also have to make a change in B and C. So that's where the problem arises, basically. So you want to have your code well factored, so that way you have each class follows a single responsibility principle, basically.
I want to know if you have problems.
My pull requests are open.
Okay.
So no, but yeah, I can we can talk, and but yeah, so there's a possibility there though. So this is written using open rewrites libraries. So I use their Java library to process all the Java files that you see here, and they do all have support for for Groovy and for Kotlin in that same Java library, and they also have support for a few other languages as well. Though I think they may be taking some of those private. But I have found Java-based parsers for C#, for what else? For VB6 for Delphi, for a few others as well. Then I could probably use the Oracle GraalVM JavaScript parser as well. So that's one possibility that I'm looking at, maybe to do JavaScript processing. But again, those are all way far in the future. So but yes, so Dan, not right now, not yet, but that's definitely on the roadmap in my head. but yeah, so it looks like I've got a pretty good model figured out. But again, I want to work on performance and also adding Gradle support first before I add support for Kotlin, because a lot of folks who develop a Kotlin use Gradle, from my understanding. So I'd want to have Gradle support in place first. So yeah, that's basically refactor in a nutshell as well. Nope. Yep. Just using ripping through all the Java classes and then capturing those in a big graph using JGraphT. And then it's a Java graph library, and then identifying the cycles in there, and then so that's how the cycle identification works. And then going through and removing the edges one at a time and recalculating the graph to identify the optimal edge to remove, basically. Yep, that's how that works. Cool.
I wonder if you can provide some practical, otherwise it's all admin. I guess on one hand, you have your open source project.
Yeah.
You have feedback coming in, you have feature requests, you have issues you want to solve. On the other hand, you have jobs, you have.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of show the balance and?
Yeah. So again, I typically exercise while I work on this. So or work on the weekend sometimes, but yeah, no, it's a great question. I try to look for opportunities or plan for a little bit. With 5 kids, my wife and I have a lot of planning. She put together a year-long basically a year-long calendar of chores. And so I have an idea of, okay, well, looks like I'll have time coming up this weekend to work on it. I don't have that heavy of a chore load. Things along those lines. So yeah, so that's a lot. I'll plan for it. Look for opportunities that are coming up.
So I guess you prioritize your time.
Yes.
And there's a gap where some.
Yeah, and also try to make this a priority too, where I can. So that way, because if you don't apply some priority to it, then it's just going to languish. Nothing's going to happen. So you have to. I did that for a while though. I just said, well, okay, it looks like I have some time. I'll work on it. Well, I realized nothing's going to happen really significant if I don't sit down and work on it. So
You have to intentionally.
yes, you have to. Absolutely. So set aside, an hour a day or something like that, or 30 minutes a day. But it's hard to work in less than maybe 30 minutes. Ideally now, because you have to recontextualize yourself.
Yeah, I guess that's my question. So I have 2 open source projects that on the stock.
It's great.
So, but the problem is, especially after I have some users coming in, then some of the problems needs my time to fix it.
Yeah.
Right. So if I do say I work 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe here's the deck in the zone.
Right.
I have to 10 minutes up. Right. So
Yeah.
So, but if I really focus on it, then eventually I will turn out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
It's a very real problem. Absolutely.
right. So I just hope you can provide some insight.
Yeah. Pace yourself. I mean, say, hey, look, I'm gonna be I'll work on it. I'll plan to work on it for a couple hours this weekend or something like that, but that's it. And walk away whenever that 2-hour timer is up. Don't do it in frustration, but just say, look, I also want to have me time, because self-care is really important. That's why I stress take care of yourself, on the last slide there, because life's not worth living if you're living it frustrated.
I guess another thing, so from my experience, I've been thinking, like, how to go activity, right? So not just you want more than right?
Right.
So you want kind of with a company.
Yeah, absolutely.
For long reason.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have anything that how do you get people comfortable with it?
Yeah, so lay out the problem that you're facing and provide a little bit of guidance. And then ask folks, and then put it out there basically. And there's some places that you can like you can put it. I think GitHub might have like a help wanted mechanism. If you're interested in something like that, you can post it. You can post help wanted basically, and it'll allow for you to do that. So that's an opportunity as well. And you can tag your issues like with good first issue, something like that. Or if there's specifics like if you want to work on this, you'll need to know X, Y, and Z. If there's something that's more difficult than other things are, for example. Be clear in your explanation of the problem. And also be prepared to work with your users to provide constructive feedback and be willing to spend time testing what they've written, because you're going to be a tester. You're going to be testing what they've written. But hopefully it'll be less time than what you would have spent otherwise.
And I think they usually like really kind of provide some sort of good updated documentation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you have kind of regular documentation for your users.
Yes.
And then you have updated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. Any other questions? Dan, did you have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, hope you enjoyed the talk. Thank you so much.
Well, if y'all are interested, I did a 15-minute presentation on AI tools that I can follow up with. Got one hand on the horse.
I'll go ahead and plug it here, Scott.
Okay. And I will plug in.
Great. Let me.
Should I plug in both?
It's up to you. Yeah, I'd say go ahead. Yeah, if you want to plug in both, go right ahead. You need yeah, HDMI. Good shape.
I do not need the dongle.
Okay, great.
Why don't you turn off your microphone? So I can
Yes.
see my-
Moment. I think mine. Yes. Okay.
Alrighty then. So I hope, let's see, turn up the volume. How's that? If you can hear me, if you can't hear me, Dan, let me know. Okay. So I will share my screen. Go share. Like this. Share. See how that works. Nice. Except you're going to get that. Okay, fine. I'll do a share and let me do the, how do we do this thing? Go to settings and we'll say screens, display settings. There we go. Duplicate, extend. There. I'll do it that way. Here we go. Here we go. Get over there. All right. And then I'll share it. Share it. You can see my happy ducks or whatever those things, flamingos. Thank you. All right. Okay, so real quick. And my notes. Got it. Okay, so basically, if you know anything about me, I'm all about refactoring. And I have been learning a lot about AI to figure out how to use it for refactoring. And everyone's excited about AI and what it can do and all the cool stuff. But most of the examples you see are how you can do vibe coding and generate a new application in 30 minutes and it'll go and replace the Social Security Administration and you'll just be, but nobody talks about how to refactor. So, oh yeah, if you want the slides that I've got, they're on my GitHub site. I'm Scott Bob, because I'm in Texas and everybody's got Bob at the end of their name, right? Billy Bob, Jim Bob. I'm Scott Bob. Okay, mine is too. Very good. Okay, so basically the most obvious thing that you can do is take some code, submit it to AI and say, what do you think is there anything wrong with this code? So I've got this rather contrived example. We're just going to go, get strings of length 5, turn them to uppercase. Well, actually, we're going to have a list of strings. We're going to uppercase them. Then we're going to find which ones are 5 characters long, and then add them to a resulting array. And anybody who knows much about streams will say, oh, you don't want to use a for each there. That's probably not the best thing to do, but are there other things that are wrong with this? Well, I submitted this to 5 different AI tools to get their impressions, just to see what they would find. And I asked them all the same thing. Are there any problems with this code? So here is a report that, frankly, ChatGPT generated that didn't put the little pictures in. I put the pictures in to make it easy to identify. So I've got the pro version of ChatGPT. So I gave it to ChatGPT first to go and look at the code. And so it noticed the misuse of the for each, that you probably shouldn't use for each. You should use a collect operator instead. And it also said that if you use to uppercase on some Unicode characters, that'll change the length of the character string to be, one more character. There's this like beta shaped character. It gave the example of this beta shaped character. It turns into 2 characters anyhow. So it suggested that the function needs to be clear that it may change the length of the string to do the check before it does the uppercase, that sort of thing. And it also doesn't like the generalized imports. You see how it's got the Java util star, the generalized import. It suggests that you should have Java util array list and that sort of thing. And that is a spaces versus tabs argument that I really don't care to have right now. Okay, so next, since I use Microsoft's Windows and you frankly can't get away from Copilot, if you're using Windows, I've stuffed it into Windows. So it found the uppercase problem as well, and it suggested doing the filtering before doing the mapping for the same reason. And so then I tried it on Google Gemini, because that's another very popular one. And it points out that we should use the collect rather than the for each. It calls it idiomatic stream usage. And it also points out that it's good not to have side effects in your functional code. Some users might expect it here because of the way the function was named. We called it strings of length 5 in uppercase. So people might expect it to change the collection instead of returning a new one. And ChatGPT, since it's a competitor of Google Gemini, you notice that ChatGPT made it a point to point out that Google Gemini did not catch the uppercase length issue. So,
Really?
yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. And just for fun, I tried Grok, because, what the heck, it's there, and we give it a try. And frankly, I was pleasantly surprised. And it pointed out that using for each isn't idiomatic Java. And it also caught the Unicode problem of changing to uppercase, but it caught even when it pointed out that array lists are not thread safe in Java. And that if we were going to change this to a parallel stream instead of just a stream, that we would start to get unexpected results, so that we should use a different collection that is thread safe instead. And it suggested that we don't check for null input. And so we would do well to check for null input so that we would handle that gracefully if someone passed it in a null. And yeah, finally, it suggested that we change the order of the of how we let's see, was it point we use a different collection if order matters, then we should use a different collection because array list keeps everything in the same order. And if you wanted to alphabetize things based on uppercase and that sort of thing, you might want to use a different collection there, or to get rid of duplicates and that sort of thing. It then summarized all of the findings, and it gave an example, and it suggested, do you want me to go and rewrite it using the suggestions that I just provided? So I thought, holy cow, this is in Grok. I didn't expect anything from Grok, and it was really nice. And so finally I tried Claude, because that's sort of the one that most people use for writing code. And it pointed out that in some cases, uppercasing might change the length of the string. So that was good. It did not catch the for each issue. But it also gave an explanation of how things should work and gave some examples and that sort of thing. And it suggested to run the filter before doing the maps so that we wouldn't have to worry about the changes. So we have a comparison of what everything caught and how it compared. So I find it interesting that everybody has its strengths. Everybody missed something. But Grok is by far the best solution here, and Gemini is by far the worst. Now, this is just one contrived example, but this tells me that if you're going to do this, use more than one. Don't just stick with a single AI tool. Go to different tools and try it. Also, most of our code is longer than 10 lines that we work on, so you're not going to break up a 10,000 line module into 10 lines segments and have it look at it. But if you're going to submit code to AI to look at it, it's sort of like you consider AI like you're an intern who's very persistent and very patient, and you say, look at this, do you notice anything? And they'll remember things that you forgot and that sort of thing, because they're an intern fresh out of college. But also, you got to be really explicit with them. And if you give them more stuff to look at, you're going to get a lower quality answer. And the same thing with AI. And if you're walking around the office and you hand the 10 lines of code to somebody, to 5 different people, you're going to get 5 different things that 5 different people are going to notice. So that's kind of how I would look at doing this. You probably wouldn't want to put 10,000 lines. I don't know, that would probably blow away your window of what you can actually pass in. But you can, break it up into small enough pieces and have the AI take a look at it and give you suggestions of how to improve it. And that can actually be really helpful. So now, IntelliJ has added this little dude here is their AI assistant icon. They added a tool called Junie. And now if you pay for the AI assistant, you get Junie for free. So it's really cool. And Junie is sort of their answer to Cursor, just specifically for the IntelliJ tools. And so it looks like a pretty cool tool. So what I did is I was trying to write a test for a function with my work, and I can't show you the code because I'll get fired if I do that. But I'm going to show you what Junie, the process that Junie went through to show me what was going on. So here's my problem. I had this method that I have a desktop Java UI application, and it fills a table with data. And for whatever reason, the data that I was pulling out wasn't what I expected. And so I wanted to basically stub out the table so that I could get to the function that was processing the data that I'm pulling out. And so I said, okay, I've got this get table data item function, and it keeps returning a null, and I thought I was initializing it. And so tell me why. And so this is what I did. Again, ChatGPT generated the slides for me for this, which was pretty, not all the pictures and stuff. It just generated the text. Yeah, what is it? PowerPoint actually did the design for the slides. Okay, anyhow, so it's just all AI here. So this is the question I asked. The initialization of the data loader table model object is not working as I expected. So get data item on that object always returns a null. How can I properly initialize my data so that the function returns a value? And it said, okay, I'm going to get the structure. So it reviewed this, and it tells me everything that it's doing. I reviewed the structure of this object, and I focused on why that returns a null. Then I opened this other file, and I examined this function implementation, and reviewed how the data is initialized. Then I opened this other file, and I reconfirmed that the focus on the construction and the data structure, and then I get the structure that I'm actually trying to analyze. And analyze the fake product or whatever object that I created for my testing. I focused on how my test data is initialized, and then I open the test and I investigate how that's tested, and I see what the expected versus the actual output. We then look at the test functions and continue looking at that. Scroll down a little bit in the function, confirm that the method doesn't show the issue in the test class. Finally, we search through this get table item. We find out that this fake data model doesn't override the get data table item. So yeah, you forgot to override that function. Oh, well, shoot, I've been staring at this for an hour and a half trying to figure out what the heck is it not working. I mean, it's like having somebody working next to you looking over your shoulder saying, oh, did you think about that? And that, yeah, that got me out of an hour and a half of spinning my wheels. So it says the issue is a fake class in your test. It extends this data loader table model, but it doesn't override that. So here's the code that you should use to do that. And so I was like, okay, great, copy, paste, and it got me back on my way, which was really helpful. And this took 5 minutes of it looking at the code and processing and churning. So it's a useful tool. I wanted to, I had some other things to show you, but first I want to show you, I used this, I like to talk to you about the approval tests tool because I'm just a fan of it. Okay, doggone it. So you can't see that, can you? I tried this before and bad things happen. Do what? Okay, let me try that. Is that okay? Can you see that? Yeah. All right, so basically we were looking at this function in approval tests where we were trying to get a directory path, and it always stick a /* or /./ in the middle because of the method we were using to call on the file object. And we finally figured out, okay, we're calling the wrong function on the file object. And so if we call this, we created a new function that you pass in the file object to, and it'll go and get the path that we need and return this. Okay, well, we do this about 30 places in the code, which is really frustrating. And so, we didn't want to sit here and spend, another hour digging through the code and making all the changes. I said, let's ask Junie to do it. And I'm not sure about that. Okay, so I said, now everywhere that we're currently using this get absolute path, we'd like to change it to file utils get resolved path and pass in the file object. Can you do that for us? So basically, we couldn't just do a global find and replace because it kind of had to turn the function call inside out. And so we asked Junie to do that. And it took about a little over 10 minutes to work through all of this, but it gives a list of all the things that all the steps that it's planning to take. We're going to examine the file utils class. We're going to search for all the instances. And as it goes through each, it goes and puts a little check mark next to it. So it's going to replace each instance with this function here. I'm going to start with a few files to establish a pattern, continue the remaining files. And the product, so it goes and it says, okay, I'm going to open file utils. I'm going to search in there. I'm going to edit that. I added 3 lines, removed 2. And then I opened this file. I added 1 line, got rid of 1. So basically made a change, made a change, made a change, made a change. That's interesting. Well, why would it add 3 lines and get rid of 2? And down here we add 2 and remove 2, and then we just added 1 there. And here we add 2 and remove 2. So we're a little concerned that here it just removed a line. Like what is it doing? And so we went through and looked at all the code that it changed, and it did pretty much what we expected it to. So it then gives us a summary. So I added 3, removed 3, added 3, removed 2, added 1, added 3, removed 2, added 2. So it did some cleanup while it was in there, which is very interesting. And so we went and looked at the code that it changed. And so, for instance, here's the file that it changed. We go, boom, look at that. You can see that it changed here. It got rid of it got rid of an include, it added the include for the file utils. You can see that it goes, it's the file.separator, and it did something different here. Directory get absolute path, and it changes file utils get resolve path. And got the file.separator plus A. Wait a second, there is no file.separator. What did it do? It file directory and a comma. Oh, file has a different constructor where it will accept one path and another part of the path, and it'll automatically combine them in the appropriate format for the for the full, whatever, for the path to work out properly. Didn't even know that. I mean, well, how often do you use a file function? But still, so we didn't know this, and Junie did. It went and cleaned up our code and simplified it. And it did that in a number of places. I thought, that's really cool. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Junie. I use Junie much more often now. Anyhow, I just wanted to show that to you because I thought it was interesting.
So what did Junie did when it delete the code?
So, okay, on the left, this is just a diff. Okay, on the left is what it was, and on the right is what it changed it to.
Right. In this case, I guess the number of changes are the same. But I think
Right.
in some of these plans, it tries to delete code, right?
Right. So so here I can show you another one that it changed. It did a similar change on, which is this here. So you can see that we had 2 lines here and it changed it down to 1. And it did a similar thing. It had the two paths, and it's like, okay, we don't need to get the new file name because we can go and inline this file, and it all works.
So in this case, it just leverage file.
Yeah, and it just cleaned up the code. It didn't make a huge change, but it made a useful change, which
I was just curious if it accidentally deleted some useful code.
no, it didn't. That was our concern, is, we had never tried it before, and it was going to make this change in 30 different places in the code. It's like, oh man, I guess it'd be quicker to double check what they're doing rather than for me to go in there and do it by hand, but still. And we looked through, it's like, why did it do this? Oh, wait. Oh, look at that. Son of a gun, that's really cool. So yeah, I was pretty proud of that.
Have you didn't have a copilot in utility?
Yes, I have.
Did you compare with the copilot with Junie?
So We did not use GitHub Copilot for this problem. We have tried GitHub Copilot for a couple of, other types of problems, and the solution that it provided was not as impressive as this one.
Including Python.
I like Junie better than GitHub Copilot. Yes, it's
Free or?
no, it's not. Well, I guess they may have a free version of it. It's probably, if it's free, then it's a limited version. I just, when they got the AI assistant, I went ahead and bought that because I wanted to be able to use it in the work that I was doing. And then Junie was just, if you've got AI assistant, then Junie comes with it. Okay, cool.
So what, like Copilot use GPT form, what the junior use AI?
You can configure it for how you want to use it. So let me go to the
Different
Junie.
AI or
Yeah, you can say, all right, here, you can pick which, oh gosh, somewhere in here, there's a way to tell it which
which AI you can use?
which AI to,
You mean you can select like a ChatGPT?
yeah, you can have it use ChatGPT if you want to. I don't think it'll use Grok, but
Even quick online search, it says default, it uses Claude 3.
Okay.
Opens, which is a reasoning model,
Right,
which explains why it performs.
okay,
Why?
yeah, so there you go.
There are some free plugins. You can just import the plugins and say some free plugins of suggestions.
Right,
They might put use.
yes, yes. And we have had speakers here in the past. A guy came and talked to us about this is Modern, the RefactorFirst tool, and that has some AI capabilities. And then there's Codo. It used to be Codium, and so yeah, David came and spoke to us about what, 4 months ago, 3-4 months ago, about that. And that's a really cool tool because it will look at all the changes you've made and it'll generate the check-in comments for you, which is pretty handy. Yeah. And it'll also generate unit tests for code. I don't know if any of y'all work on code that doesn't have any tests for it, and you got to write tests to go and fix it. And Coda will do that for you, which is pretty handy. Of course, so will Junie and AI Assistant and ChatGPT and all that, and whatever, Copilot. So anyhow, and then there's this other tool that I recently discovered called refact.ai that is designed to help you refactor code using AI. And I will, well, let's see here. Here's the links to get to those tools. And if you want to use them. And then again, if you know anything about me, I'm all about refactoring. So if you want to find out more about me, there's my my website, and I've got a little book to help you figure out code smells. And that's pretty much what I have to share for tonight, except for next month. It's going to be all about testing. We've got Bhupendra Mishra and Bruno Rosendo are going to talk to us about, they're going to do a double up like Jim and I did, snapshot and contract testing in Java, as well as introducing the Spock framework. So make sure you come next month. It's going to be cool. And any other questions or comments? Excellent.